Newsflash is brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
Welcome back to the Prime Morning Show. This is News Flash, where we touch on topical issue that is happening within the week and ensure that issues are discussed thoroughly to bring clarity to the unrest or possibly development across the country. And this morning, we'll go straight to the newspaper headlines. But I want you to know that the News Flash is brought to you by Francophone Phone Papa Fie. Now, let's go straight to the Political Digest newspaper. And this morning, it is very, very interesting to see on the front page of the Political Digest newspaper, which says the MPP most development-oriented, according to the vice presidential candidate of the MPP, that is Napo. He says that MPP is the most developmental-oriented party in the country. So you see his face on the front page of the Political Digest newspaper. We also have on the same front page Baumia Paris Mohammed DKM propaganda. And still on the front page, posterity will judge you. Justin Kodia to independent candidate. So that will be it for the Political Digest newspaper. Now we'll go to the front page of the Daily Graphic, which also says, declare national emergency on Galamsey. This is according to Professor Adai to President Akufo-Addo. And when you read that story, there are a portion of which he said that this emergency, national emergency, will help ensure the Galamsey issue is really stopped. And that is a topic we'll be touching on in the course of our conversation this morning. Still on the front page of the Daily Graphic, you'll find out that the court has instructed the 6 election violence victims to be paid an amount of 150,000 Ghana cedis, and that is on the front page of the Daily Graphic. Consumer Protection Bill needs urgent attention, according to the Consumer Protection Agency. We have 39 picked up presidential forms for exactly. And we have basic schools reopened on Tuesday. So children, families are now gearing up to send their wards back to school. That was yesterday. That is going to happen shortly. So that will be it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. You can grab your copy at any nearest newsstand. The Daily Dispatch newspaper, in the front page, Janet Nabla cannot be flag bearer of the PMP. She collected passcode as an independent presidential aspirant. This is according to EC source. Baumia reveals plans to reduce cost of living in 2025 as a president. This is the page 2 of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. And on the front page of the New Republic, revealing the bloodlines, so Cities CIA's counter-espionage, Nemesis dies, leaving a legacy of inter-heroism, calls for protest mount over alleged flawed voter register. Tensions mount in Savannah over alleged Burkina Faso rebels. Cartel loot 38.3 million Ghana cedis every month for ghost sweepers. So this is the front page of the New Republic. So that is the various headlines happening this morning. So anywhere you are, you can grab a copy. So we go straight to the conversation. You can also be sending us your quotes or your messages via the WhatsApp line. And trust me, we'll be reading it live here on the program. Already seated with me on my far left is lawyer Kwame Jantuah. He's a senior member of the CPP. And after him is Fad Usman, the MPP communications team member, and also followed by E.A. Metal Nuno, is the NDC communication team member as well. Gentlemen, it's good to have you this morning.
Good to be here.
Wonderful. We will start, first of all, with the case of the issue that happened yesterday, Wednesday, where some groups of the NDC affiliated organization, they've named themselves the Operation Recover All Loot Brigade. They converged in front of the Finance Ministry to demand accountability, basically based on some key issues that have come to public light. That is the controversial 34.9 million Ghana cedis ambulance spare parts deal. They are demanding accountability and asking the procurement processes to be more revealed. They are also demanding an open review of GRA's involvement with Strategic Mobilization Limited, SML deal, which was brought to light as a result of Manasseh's investigation. They are also demanding full disclosure of the expenditure for the 2023 All-African Games. There's been a lot of development from GVC and also cases of individuals who use huge amounts of money basically to feed the athlete. Many issues came to light during the parliamentary sittings where the sports minister was asked many questions, of which many are said that did not really sit well with them. So the Operation Aura, Recover All, loot are demanding for accountability in that line. So we're going to move straight to the conversation, but let me first begin with lawyer Kwame Jantuah, whose party yesterday elected their presidential candidate. Lawyer, it's good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too. Good morning. Good morning to our listeners and my fellow panelists.
Wonderful. Before we move to the conversation of the demand for accountability based on public expenditure, yesterday you elected your presidential candidate. How did it go? And based on the party structure, how will you describe the election process?
An election process is an election process. So far as we followed the rules and regulations of the election process of the CPP, we've done it, and the good people of the CPP have elected Frimpoma to be their running mate. And I think there's not much to say about that.
So what next for the CPP?
So we need our manifesto to come out, and once the manifesto comes out, we all dive into it and go on to the road and see how best we can sell it.
So between now to December, you're now going to form a committee and delve into it. Will you say probably the delay in the election of your aspirant may, in a way, affect your campaigns across the country?
It depends on how quick, how soon they can get it into the country. It depends on how best we can, talk about it on the media, how best we can get our regional chairs in the constituencies to push whatever's in the manifesto, and we'll take it from there. We're about 98 days to the election. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen indeed. Yeah. Now, what would you say of the case of accountability and also the brigade, that is Operation Recover or Loot Aura, which is being led by the youth wing of the party yesterday at the Finance Ministry?
It is their right to demonstrate, isn't it? But is that the right way to do it? Everybody has a right to go out there and ask for issues that are not too clear of the government in power. Accountability is one of them. Transparency is another. And unfortunately, they had a confrontation with the police. But that demonstration was a legal one, wasn't it? I'm sure they went through all the processes of holding a demonstration. And so I don't see what caused the confrontation with the police. Maybe my brother would be able to tell me. Did they were trying to enter the Ministry of Finance? What caused it? But really and truly, we haven't been able in this country, with all the Auditor General's report and things happening, we really haven't been able to show transparency in the lot of things that have been done within this tenure of President Akufo-Addo's government. And so I wonder whether to go anywhere, but 4 months to election, I don't think anything will happen. Yes, but it's good to protest.
If we say transparency in what light?
The processes that we take to do certain things, the processes, and that is all that is required. Because if you show us the processes, it would expose any misdemeanor, it would expose whether the right things were followed, it would expose who and who was in charge of what. The processes. And it's because we don't make sure that those processes are open to the general public. When such things happen, there's a problem. Don't you see in Ghana, in this Fourth Republic, anytime we do something with money, there's a problem. Don't we see it? common African games where we borrowed money to do it. Is that not a problem? Did you anticipate there to be a problem? Is that not a problem? And so we owe it upon ourselves to make sure that when we do things from the word go, look, if from the word go, you let the general public know, so far as it hasn't got anything to do with national security, and you let the people know, A, B, C, D, E is where we started from, X, Y, Z, in the process, not after the process, in the process. We've gone for 250 million loan to do X, Y, Z for the gains. After that 250, this is how it is being used. This is how it's broken down. This is the balance. This is the debt. So everybody knows going forward. My major challenge is personal interest. You seem to see personal interest in a lot of things we do in this country. So politics has become more of a profession than service. But politics is a service. It's not a profession. You don't go into politics to make money. You go into politics to serve the people. And you get your gratitude from the service you give to the people, because it's the people who would say, Winston, your government has done well. It is not up to the government to score itself. For the government to say, yeah, we've done well, and they score themselves. It's not up to them. Because what happens? There are challenges in the little thing. Look, I think it's quite embarrassing for the Auditor General to come to Parliament and tell us that A, B, C, D, E didn't go well. X, Y, Z, amount of money we can't account for. It is embarrassing. And unfortunately, as the Speaker said yesterday, Parliament is the weakest link with regards to our governance system. If we had a very strong Parliament, I think a lot of things could be straightened, but we don't. And the partisanship and the personal interest in there is a challenge. Right now with Galamsey, politicians, the MPP politicians, some of them are saying, if we go and tackle this, we might lose the election. Is that important? Which overrides which? Doesn't country override partisanship? Unfortunately, it's the other way around in Ghana, where partisanship overrules country. So,
we'll come back to the issue of Galamsey, but let me also bring in Fad Osman. Yesterday, the Operation Aura happened in front of the Finance Ministry. The demand, basically, many have said that although they sound legitimate nonetheless, why would you have to wait till now? And also the perception that it's an election year, and therefore something just has to be done for attention purposes cases, not just possibly follow up on the real issues on the grounds. What the objective was it actualized yesterday? And also, how intense do you intend to sustain this pressure on government?
I believe that's coming from the NDC. Well, no problem. First, let me say good morning to our viewers and also to my uncle here.
Good morning.
And my brother, sometimes mischievous brother. Let me say good morning to him and to our viewers. And also to inform the good people of this country that His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will be taking his campaign to the Tema enclaves today. That's the Tema East, West, and Central today. It has been one of the wonderful campaigns so far, and I call on Ghanaians out there to come out and listen to him. There are some beautiful messages to share with the good people of this country. And also to the NDC youth group, Aura, right? I hope that's the name. I think there is nothing wrong with accountability. There is nothing wrong asking for transparency. There is nothing wrong asking people in authority to answer questions. There's nothing wrong with that. We're in a democratic era, and that is one of the fundamental pillars of any democracy, transparency and accountability, where people have the right to go out there, ask questions, legitimate questions. Just like my uncle asked some key questions. Was the demonstration yesterday a legal one? That's the first question. I believe if my brother from the NDC gets the opportunity to speak, he will tell us. If it's legal, what caused the confrontation between the security agencies and the youth group?
From just an observatory perspective, it were to be legal, the police will not be there.
But sometimes, you see, it is not just the legality as into giving the permission to go for the demonstration. Sometimes even the routes upon which you agreed upon to take, they get the point, or even the timing that you agreed that we are going to spend, let's say, an hour at this particular location. Probably that could be the agreement between the security agencies and the youth group of the NDC. We don't know the details of it yet. And the Ghana police has not given any official communique to what transpired and led to that riot. But then, let me also use the opportunity to say this. You see, in this country, if not for populist purposes, we have some institutions that have been given the mandates, right, to make some of these issues clear to everybody. For instance, today we have the Right to Information Law being passed, where if you are a citizen and you think that some activities of governments had led to some, probably, let me say, mismanagement of funds, you have the right to seek clarity and seek for further information through such processes, right? So what, if not for, as you rightly said, if not for electoral purposes and for mischievous and probably for populism purposes, if this could have been done in a more proper channels or through more proper channels where we could seek more in clarification. Me in particular, when this issue of GBC and the All African Games came up, we've all asked questions that we needed more information. And truly, we've gotten more information on the GBC and the Ministry of Youth and Sports, what's transpired, what led into the contract, and how come there was a third party. I believe today everybody out there is convinced that there was nothing shoddy with that deal. They've listed others. I think there's nothing wrong. Appropriate quarters provide clarity and information on them. But we're heading towards elections. And we should not also take away the fact that some of these groupings take advantage of the space. Because we're heading towards elections, populism, as I have already called it, want to organize themselves in such ways, create some environment, and it will spark some difficulties in our society.
So what kind of information have you gathered in regards to this protest?
This is a youth group of the NDC. By name, what? Aura, right? And funny enough, 2 weeks ago, during the manifesto launch of the NDC, we heard the former president calling out this acronym, if you remember very well. My brother, he said he can give us more clarity on it. So if they created the impression that if we win power, this is what we are going to do. Do you get that point? We are going to recover all loot and whatever they want to call it. That's how they called it. Then I asked myself, you've launched a manifesto. You told us that this is mere manifesto. And it's oral. If you win power, you're going to recover all loot and other properties of this country. Then few weeks after your manifesto, 2 weeks after your manifesto, a group organized a press conference, called themselves to be that aura, right? And today they start organizing demonstrations across the country. The first one has been done. What is going to happen next? If truly they have a clear intention of seeking for clarity and information on these deals, I believe very well they could have written to these institutions or authorities in charge through the Right to Information Bill, and information should be given to them. But for whatever reasons, they've not done that. But they decided, because it's election year, let's organize demonstrations. Let's create that environment, a hostile environment, for Ghanaians out there to feel that, Charlie, everything is not working. All is not working. All is not well. And at the back of that, Ghanaians will vote for us.
So let me understand.
Political, it's a purely political gimmick.
As a party in Ghana, do you believe all is well?
As I indicated, when the issue of the All African Games came up first, there were a whole lot of speculation. A whole lot of speculation on what went wrong with over, I think, $3 million, right? For coverage, $3.6 million. We heard GBC saying they only received $105,000. After, I think some few days after, we gathered enough information. Contracts came out. That yes, GBC was awarded a contract of $3.6 million for coverage. GBC, lacking capacity, outsourced to some other production hubs or production institutions to help them with the coverage of all African Games. And these institutions were paid some amount of money. From where I sit and from the contract and from the information and the documents I've seen so far, I am convinced that nothing wrong happened with that particular contract. They've listed others I don't have much information on those others yet. And I think it is only fair we ask for information to be understand and make proper judgments on such contracts. Why do I say this? In the past, we've witnessed similar acts. If you remember very well, my uncle here, I know he's old enough to remember those days, where we had bank statements of individuals in government. As far back 2008, bank statements were printed on the street of Accra. When you'll be met with a bank statement. This is the bank statement of this particular individual. This is the bank statement of this minister. This is the bank statement of this particular person. Our gold reserves at the Bank of Ghana has been depleted by former President Kufuor. Fifi Kwete made those statements. All in the attempt of what? Hoodwinking the good people of this country to believing that there's something wrong. And fortunately enough, when power changed hands in 2008, and the people who made those allegations came to Parliament for vetting, parliamentary vetting, before the vetting committee, they now comes to admit that we made those statements out of desperation. We made those statements just to win political power. So I am only making the references and also to call on the good people of this country that it is true, government will have issues with, as my uncle said, money passing through hands. Whenever there is money, people will be suspicious. So there's nothing wrong asking for accountability, but we should be very careful the environment we create and the atmosphere we create. So do you
believe the procurement process of government, basically Ghana, from year to year, from party to party, is not flawed and doesn't need any re-amendment in that angle?
It will be very, very wrong on my part to say that all has been well with government procurement over the years, from government to government. I'll not even be in the right position to make those judgments because, yes, we know that there have been challenges. There have been some issues with sourcing in particular. There have been some challenges and difficulties in the past. But that shouldn't take away the fact that we are growing a country. We are building a democracy where everybody has the right to demonstrate, as my uncle indicated. But let's also not forget that in the space of doing that, we should not create a negative impressions. That's all I'm trying to say. So if they truly meant well, there are other appropriate quarters they could have applied. And that's what I've made mention of, the right to information bill. They have every opportunity to write to these institutions involved in all the allegations they've listed. And I believe more information will be put forth and clarity will be made.
Probably the information that may have been put forth did not...
They've not done that. I just told you, this group was launched 2 weeks ago at the NDC manifesto launch. 2 weeks ago.
But the issues has been in existence for long.
2 weeks ago. And after 2 weeks, you have a young people from the NDC. I have friends in there, very good friends in there.
Yes.
Last week, they had press conferences, and this week, they are out there demonstration. And the idea is very simple. Populism, let's create a very chaotic atmosphere, a hostile atmosphere to create the impression that all is not well.
So Ghana in creating that impression,
Ghana is collapsing.
If there is an impression of that or that agenda being said from what you're describing, is there a loot? Is there a shift? Is that is that happening in that case?
Thank you very much. Yeah. I'm very happy you've brought this question. Not too long ago, we had a state institution in this country investigating some government officials in the past, clearing them of no wrongdoing. We had the NDC members calling the president all kind of names. Not too long ago, we had the OSP investigating Madam Cecilia Abnadapa, right? I hope you remember that case. OSP investigated Madam Cecilia Abnadapa on some issues related to corruption and all those kind of issues. We've had OSP investigating former President John Dramani Mahama on the Airbus scandal, right? So it clearly tells you that we have state institutions mandated to conduct some of these investigations.
So that lays the foundation, basically.
So now,
accountability.
Okay.
Is that not the case?
Yes.
All right.
So now, if we have state institutions truly have investigated current governments, officials from current governments, and also former presidents, I believe very well that we've gotten to a point where we can say that we have a state institution that is robust enough to investigate corruption in this country. and we should trust in such state institutions. I have not seen any investigative reports from this institution claiming any root, how do I put it, any conspiracy or any loot in some of these contracts. Yet, I've not seen any investigative reports. So I'll find it very difficult to make the call that there are some loot in some of these contracts. But what is important is that if we suspect any such thing, we have state institutions. That's why it is important. Let's build the state institutions in this country. It does not matter who is in office today. If we build these state institutions, just like OSP has not long ago investigated former President John Dramani Mahama, and from the other side, I'm happy today our brothers from the NDC admit that the OSP's office is not a political machinery to clear a certain government, but it's an office that can investigate and exonerate to an extent. That's how they call it.
Okay.
Do you get the point? So if we have such state institutions, we should also give them that benefit of doubt.
All right.
To work. If we don't do that, and everything we jump to the public space, to the streets, and make it look like, see, let me say this. We are going to have a peaceful elections in this year. So peaceful. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. We from the MPP strongly believe that we are going to win these elections. And if we are winning these elections, we are winning these elections based on strategies.
Okay.
We have nothing to hide from anybody.
All right.
We are campaigning out there, and we are certain that the good people of this nation believes in our message, and they are going to vote for us.
We'll come to your campaign.
Beyond that,
we'll come to your
we should
campaign
not
shortly.
create
Yes.
a hostile environment with some of these populism activities.
We understand
Demonstrations are good, but we should understand that if 2 weeks ago you launched a group or an initiative...
Osman, you've made that point.
Thank you
I'll come back to you briefly. Let me come to EA Metal Nuno, who is the NDC communication team member here. As you can see on your screen, this is the demonstration that happened yesterday in front of the Finance Ministry. Metal, first of all, what was the motivation for the gathering in front of the Finance Ministry? Well, we understand your core. Nonetheless, where is this leading to?
All right, thank you very much, Winston. And let me say a very good morning to our church, US. A very good morning to Senior Counsel, Lawyer Kwame Jantuah, and my colleague and brother from the MPP. Let me say a good morning to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Over the weeks, he's been on his campaign tour. Currently, he's in the Bono region, selling his message to the good people of Ghana. And I can tell you that the way Ghanaians are receiving the message is overwhelming. We are confident that on the 7th of December, Ghanaians will vote massively for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Key among the messages that is given, that is giving the people of Ghana hope, is his message of thinking outside the box to create jobs for the people. The message of the 24-hour economy.
We'll come,
and the
National
Women's Bank.
I want to
now I'm coming to the National Women's Bank, and then I'm coming to one of the key messages. That is Operation Recover All Loot. That's the subject for our discussion. Now, Operation Recover All Loot is not a group launched by the NDC or launched by the flag bearer. After our manifesto launch in Winneba, the flag bearer and the incoming president of Ghana, 2025, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, clearly stated, and if you read our manifesto, it's not a group or anything. John Dramani Mahama says that when he comes to power, we are going to fight corruption. We are going to make sure that we recover all looted state monies that have gone into individuals' pockets. And he termed that operation as Operation Recover All Loot. It's not a group that was launched by the flag bearer. It's a fight and a war against corruption and to recover stolen Ghanaian taxpayers' monies that have gone into pockets of these MPP people that find themselves in power. What does he intend to do by Operation Recover All Loot? See, Winston, when you look at this nation, okay, we are a nation that we are rich in gold. We are rich in bauxite. When you come to the cash crops, cocoa, cashew, etc., our land is fertile. We have a youthful nation. It's not a nation that we should be suffering today. It's not a nation that people should be struggling to get access to healthcare. So you could see that the amount of monies we are losing to corruption as a nation is something that is affecting us. How much money were we looking from IMF? We're looking for how much? 3 billion Ghana cedis. Now, just just ended All African Games. About the Minister of Finance said that they gave GBC $3 million just for coverage. This is just one ministry for just a period of games. So that is just for the coverage. Imagine how much money they spend for food. And with the revelations that are coming out, it's so disgusting, it's damning, and it's an insult to the people of Ghana. That for a nation that we've entrusted our resources into this current government, this MPP government, for them to manage it for our benefit, and they manage our resources in this manner, the people of Ghana suffer. Come to my constituency in Lejokuku. Pregnant women are losing babies because of the kind of roads they ply on to get to the hospital. School children constantly are going to hospital because they have lungs issues, because of dust that they pass through to get to school. Go to other places. Look at the state of bad roads around. We had a place where youth who are growing up, who are engaged in entrepreneurship, in one way or the other.
Scientifically speaking, rough roads does not cause miscarriages.
Oh, I've had rough roads. My next two houses neighbor, and I led demonstration on the 25th of May last year.
Scientifically speaking.
Why would it cause miscarriages? When you are going to live and you are passing on a rough road and the driver is speeding, and I'm giving you evidences, not something I'm saying out of the blue. Just Google, and the things that happened in Lejokuku constituency, that led to the youth of Lejokuku forming an alliance to demonstrate massively on the state of bad roads in Lejokuku. So how scientifically doesn't it cause roads? So what caused the miscarriage?
We can say possibly bad roads and the time span to get to the hospital.
It wasn't the time span to get to the hospital. It was the way that the roads were bad and the way the cars were bumpy in the roads that caused the miscarriage. It was this is from reports from medical teams over there, and even the medical doctors in Lejokuku joined demonstration. They added their voice to our call. So I'm telling you that for a nation that we have pregnant women, we have ordinary Ghanaians suffering because of lack of the insensitivity on the part of government to do things to benefit our populace, to benefit the citizenry. And then they loot all these monies. It's about time that, when we talk about issues of corruption, we impose stiff sanctions to people who loot state money at the expense of the ordinary Ghanaians.
Are you saying the institutions that fight corruption in this country are not functioning enough to, with the mandate backed by law, to ensure cases that are, like those you mentioned are not being addressed?
Let me give you a typical example under this current government. We have a minister who, her housemaid, okay, from her own charge sheet, not from me, Metal Nunu speaking here on the National Democratic Congress, from her own charge sheet, that her housemaid stole about $1 million in her room. She had that money inside the room, including pounds and other assorted gold, jewelries, and then all that. And the housemaid even gave her ex-boyfriend ex-gratia for good service that she rendered her. And he used the money, some of the monies, to go and buy cars and things. This is the extent of money, 1 million. And the 1 million was not even seen because it was stolen. It was because after a point in time, another house help was in the room taking money, and then she was caught. So you can imagine the amount of money that was inside there. That even $1 million.
I'm not imagining. I'm just following the case, and according to the court, she's been vindicated.
I'm coming. You're telling me that state institution, and I'm telling you what's happened under that case. And what the special prosecutor, Kisi Ajabeng, current special prosecutor, said. That he had a press conference telling Ghanaians and crying, actually. Said he has become Ankwa Numa, if my tree is right. He has become a lone ranger in this fight against corruption. Everybody has ganged up against him, even the people that appointed him. So therefore, his hands are tied and there's nothing he can do about it. So if you ask the question whether the state institutions that have been mandated to fight corruption, whether they are fighting it or not, I'm giving an example under this current government. And not before Kisi Ajabeng came. The first ever special prosecutor appointed by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Martin Alamisi Kaisa Amidu. What did he say before he resigned? When he was actually waging war against the fight against corruption, the purpose for which he was put into that office. And when he resigned, what letter did he write? He said he never knew that the mother serpent of corruption was His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So if you ask me about state institutions mandated and given legal backing to fight corruption, there are so many legal ways, again, that you can use to frustrate the process. And I'll give you a clear example in the Cecilia case. And not me that I'm saying, the special prosecutor told Ghanaians in a press conference, your media outfit was there, and they covered it. It showed several times over here. But what we are saying from the NDC, and what the flag bearer of the NDC is saying is that, see, we are going to impose stiff measures and sanctions against people who engage in corruption. We are going to impose these measures in such a way that it becomes even unlucrative. You will not even dare, as an appointee or a member of the NDC or anybody in Ghana, to engage in such corrupt practices. And when John Dramani Mahama says something like this, we, as a youth of this nation, I believe him. You remember the Abu Kapele case, the Jida case? An appointee of the president, who it came out, perceived that he had engaged in corruption. It was a perception. He called for an investigation. He started prosecuting his own appointee. The Bas running case. What happened to it? His own appointee, what did he do? The minister resigned. Caused the minister, sacked the minister, caused them to resign. And then recovered the money back to the state. And this is our appointee. So if you want to fight corruption, you start from within. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, a man who is clean. The only form of corruption that the MPP wanted to use to tag him, that was the Airbus scandal. And even the special prosecutor has come out to claim who is clean. A man who has ever fought corruption, even from within, is telling us today, the people of Ghana, that $34.9 million given to Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's daughter and her lover, their company, to buy spare parts and repair ambulances. The total ambulances that were bought were
so
306.
Are you saying there are no case of corrupt? There has not been any case of corruption under the former president, John Dramani Mahama's government, during his governance?
What cases of corruption? Manasseh Azuri brought the Ford scandal. The Ford scandal is part of the fleet of cars that they are using over there. The one that were trumpeting around and going to markets and town with, that was the Airbus scandal. Airbus scandal today, John Dramani Mahama has been cleared from any wrongdoing, whether direct evidence or circumstantial evidence. He has been cleared. And he and his brother have been cleared from any corrupt doing in that. In the run-up to the elections, then NPP told us that John Dramani Mahama had a hotel in Dubai. He has stolen Ghana's money and had a hotel in Dubai. One of the people who sat to concoct that story, that's Captain Smart, today has come out to apologize on his knees to the incoming president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, and saying that they sat in the hotel, he went to Dubai, he's going to do investigations, and John Dramani Mahama doesn't have anything.
Captain Smart is not a prosecutor.
DKM. No, I'm saying that one of the people, they were the people who trumpeted that story prior to 2016 elections, that John Dramani Mahama stole Ghanaians' money and was building a hotel in Dubai. And today, one of the people who was trumpeting that issue has come out to apologize to the clean man who is not corrupt, John Dramani Mahama, and telling him that he has also conducted investigations and John Dramani Mahama is cleared. They were trumpeting issues of DKM. Today, we know who the CEO of DKM is actually dining with. And Brazil, when he went for the walk, we saw them with them. So the MPP clearly, prior to 2016, told Ghanaians lots of lies. And I'm telling you that John Dramani Mahama, when it comes to corruption, he's clean. But Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the reason why the youth and the people who demonstrated yesterday, I saw members of the CPP, I saw youth members of the PNC, I saw people who were not aligned to any political party, that were part of the people who went to picket at the Ministry of Finance. And I now understand why Ghanaians were calling for the failed Minister of Finance, that's Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's cousin, Kenneth Rata, to resign as Minister of Finance. And he wasn't resigning. That $34.9 million deal was signed about 5 days before his resignation. And $34.9 million, Winston.
No, before you move on, I want to.
For repair of ambulances.
I get your point. Before you move,
you know how much one ambulance costs?
Before you move on, we disassociate ourselves from any comment that you made against Captain Smart on this.
I'm not making a comment against Captain Smart. Yes. I'm just referring and alluding to what he himself said, that he is apologized to John Dramani Mahama.
So those are your.
Oh, you don't watch it. After the show, I can send it to your production team.
No, those are your words specifically.
These are my words. These are words of Methodun, and I'm alluding it to Captain Smart. These are direct words that he made on his media house, on his media station, that he was part of the people who trumpeted the issue against John Dramani Mahama, that he has a hotel in Dubai, and that he himself went to investigate. He went to Dubai, and then John Dramani Mahama has no hotel over there.
All right.
So he's come out to apologize. The reason why the youth are demonstrating, see, when you look at the $34.9 million, it's not NDC youth, and it's not a group formed by an NDC operation. Recover all loot is an operation that the media, every political party, all well-meaning Ghanaians must join for us to recover those monies, to use them to benefit the people of Ghana. So looking after you look at the $34.9 million deal, contractor was awarded to the president's daughter and a lover for them to repair ambulances. Do you know that if you look at ambulances, they bought about 306 ambulances. According to their reports, about 70 of them are spoiled. They are no more in use. So if you deduct it from the 306, and you look at the number, let's say 250 ambulances.
Wrapping up on your point.
The cost of one ambulance, the repair of one ambulance is expensive than the cost of one ambulance. What sin have the people of Ghana committed? Look at PDS scandal. And you think that we shouldn't recover? Do you know that PDS collected electricity revenue for 6 months? So date, nobody has collected the money from them. The PDS deal. They collected electricity tariffs for 6 months. Today, nobody has collected from them. And you think that when the next president comes to power, we should leave these people to run away with that money? And you look at the issues that happen with COVID-19.
You know, I'll come back to you briefly because we've seen a lot of, documents
in London,
on social media by the NDC parliamentary candidate.
Yes, so in London, Operation Recover All Loots is not a group formed by the NDC. It's an agenda that all well-meaning Ghanaians must support. And let's recover these monies that have been stolen and is in people's pockets, and let's use them to benefit the people of Ghana.
All right, let me take some brief comment before we move to the next topic that has to do with the Galamsey. Lawyer Jantuah, interesting. Metal is alleging that members of your party were also part of this agenda. That is basically Operation Aura. And I would like to get your take, basically, whether we fought corruption enough in our system and whether this is just a mere perception or there's more work to be done.
Where are we on the corruption perception index? Where's Ghana's position? We're 70. And if we say that we are fighting corruption, yes, government has put in institutions to fight corruption. Have we fought it? Isn't corruption rife in this country? Have we been able to do anything about bringing it down? Now, I went onto the corruption index page. It says Ghana is the 70 least corrupt nation out of 180 countries. 70. According to the 2023 Corruption Perception Index reported by Transparency International, corruption rank in Ghana averaged 66.50 from 1998 until 2023, reaching an all-time high of 81% in 2017, as compared to a low of 50 in 2002. So it tells you. And you see, knitted into that corruption is conflict of interest. Were we not here when we were told that the former finance minister, Ken Furiata, his company was able to amass money from all the bonds and loans that he went to get for Ghana? Is that true or false? Have we really been able to weed out corruption? Galamsey, is it not corruption? Are there not a lot of corrupt issues where Galamsey is concerned? There's so many things that we as a people need to be able to hold governments responsible. And I won't even only say in this present government alone, in this entire Fourth Republic. Hasn't corruption increased? And there's so many things that are being done that we see the likes of corruption in there, quite a number of things. So if we sit and decide that corruption isn't a canker in this country, then we are pointing one finger at our president or the powers that be. 3 fingers are pointed at us, because corruption isn't only the president. It's the people also. Public service, private sector. People wanting to quickly have a quick buck, which doesn't help the country. But, Winston, for me, if we do not bring country first before our personal interests and political parties, it's going to be very difficult to solve this corruption.
With the nature of how we do our politics now, would there be a time, based on your assessment, where there'll be a wake-up, basically, of dealing without any affiliation or interest, just as you made mention, that interest is the key challenge?
Not unless we get a president who's sacrificial, who says, I don't care whether I win the next election. I don't care whether my own people are doing it. I will bring you to book just like that, to whip everybody into line. If we don't have a sacrificial head of state, sacrificial leaders who can hold their people responsible, forget it. It will go on. Because right now, the youth have trained themselves also in corruption. They feel it's the best thing. Look, when I went to Achempim Hini's, my cousin's funeral, 1 week, when I was leaving, people see me on TV, so they think, oh, he's a big man. The police themselves were asking me something for the boys. Can you imagine? The police themselves were asking me, oh, Honorable, something for the boys? I looked them in the face. Something for the boys? So if somebody does crime, and there's a lot of money, will they ask the person something for the boys? The whole system is riddled where corruption is concerned. And if you are not careful, and we don't, you see, it is not a one-party thing. It's a national issue where that leader who is sacrificial should involve everybody. This banter that we have between parties doesn't help us. So President Nana will not talk to President Mahama. President Mahama will not talk to President Nana. They will not bring ex-President Kufuor in. They will not bring Parliament in. The chiefs won't come. It is a national discussion that should be had for all of us to have results of where we are heading for where corruption is concerned. Because one party will not be in power forever. However, if we all sit and say, this canker is creating challenges for us, let's sit and come to concrete solutions of how we will handle this, then we run together and you bring the people along. Because corruption isn't only the political class, corruption is also the people. The people. So you go and buy, let's say you buy granules on the street. They say 5 cedis. And when you see how they pack the 5 cedis, only about 10 peanuts in it. When you look and say, until we pay 5 cedis, is that not corruption? You are trying to get a leg over. You're trying to get a leg over. And
so, corruption, I want to get your mind
corruption
on this.
has a long line.
In the line of corruption, in the instance where we describe a lot of issues of corruption, taking what is not yours and making it look like you achieved it and all that, can we describe inflation as a case of corruption in its sense? Because inflation takes away the money in the pocket of individuals and businesses, thereby making living conditions more difficult.
So let me give you an example of food inflation. Let me give you an example of food inflation. Exact when you have a situation where a government has a policy on agriculture, but is not able to implement that policy on agriculture, and imports come in to substitute what we should be doing ourselves, and those imports coming in are being brought in by powerful, influential people, and they come in and they set prices that the people can't afford. Is that not corruption? Is that not corruption? Where you are not really interested in making your people satisfied, but you're interested in forcing your people to buy things they cannot afford, especially in situations where there are no jobs for the people to earn decent salaries. Is that not corruption? Corruption comes in so many forms, not only in money. A situation where, because of party politics, you try your possible best as a party to, put your people down. Show them that, look, if I pay 5 cedis to you, you've got to vote for me. If I come and I give you money, you've got to vote for me. Is that not corruption? Is it not happening today? Okay. Do we not buy votes in this country? The politicians not buy votes. Don't people come and say, don't we hear it? Is that not corruption? In the MPP parliamentary election, did it not happen? Did we not hear it? It's a whole gamut of issues that need to be tackled. And for me, for us to tackle it, it takes us to sit as a country to say, nationally, we are going to sit to talk about this thing and make sure we do away with it. In your family.
Okay.
Are you married?
Not yet.
Okay. When you get married and you have children and you have a wife and there's an issue, will you not discuss it? You first discuss it with your wife, won't you? Then you discuss it with your children to see solutions to it. We amplify it in the bigger sense. It is a challenge for the country. One party does not seem to be able to do it. So what do? Let's bring everybody in and let's discuss it and move forward.
All right. Thank you.
And market time.
All right. We'll come back after this final text. We'll come back to the issue of Galamsey. But Fahad Usman is the MPP communications team member. We've had the whole conversation going on here. Some of the conversation many may say is that this demonstration did not just happen out of the blue moon, just as you allege, basically, but it has to do with the systematic situations and circumstances that have happened over the years, therefore cumulatively boiling out to what is happened yesterday in front of the House of Parliament. Also, there's been cases where people have said that probably the president has overlooked certain mishaps in the system because his party is in government, and he consistently, your party have touted him as the best president Ghana ever had. Where we are now and where we are going, is the future bleak or bright?
I believe my uncle made a very profound statement, and I
Yes.
think it's important we emphasize some of the things he has said. I think it's important. You see,
In answering that, I hope you get my,
I
my
get
question.
you. I get your
You heard
question
my
very
question.
well. Just I get you right.
Yes.
Quickly, you see, fighting corruption. I believe one of the difficult things to investigate even alone is corruption. Well, it deals with more of a perceptional program, right? It comes from the perceptional point of view that I believe you are corrupt. I believe he is corrupt. I believe this person is corrupt. That's why it was important when we took over in 2017. President Akufo-Addo had to look into it and see how best we can put in place measures to fight and investigate corruption. Yes, there have been some successes, there have been some difficulties, but I'm happy. My brother here, forgive me if I use this word, conveniently, let me use that one, conveniently, chose some of the investigations of the OSP, rubbished them, then selected others that favors him, then projected that, right? He told us, one breath, that the same OSP who investigated Madam Cecilia Abnadapa, right, investigated former President John Mahama. And he accepts the report of former President John Mahama's investigation, but denies the report on Madam Cecilia Abnadapa. That's the hypocrisy. It will not help in fighting corruption. We need state institutions to help us in this fight. As my uncle rightly said, see, corruption goes down there to the last person, the gatekeepers. Even at this institution, this organization as we speak right now, the gatekeepers down there. If you get down there and your interaction with them, it's not that friendly. Sometimes you come and you'll be left behind. Do you get the point? It's everywhere. It's in our behavioral DNA to give favors to people. But what is important is that we need to understand that state institutions like this, OSP, and also passing laws like the Right to Information Bill, the Whistleblowers Act, some of these laws helps in exposing corruptions. You get the point? Corruption will be with us, but we need to make it unattractive. That's the most important.
So will you
President
say,
Akufo-Addo,
okay, will you say the push by Honorable Ablakwa to push a law banning government representatives or politically exposed individuals from owning assets is the right approach?
I have heard a section. I think I've gotten the opportunity to hear some section of that particular bill he's trying to push. But to an extent, you see, if you want to define who a politically exposed person is, it's going to be very difficult to define. Do you get the point? And also, let's also put it on record that just because uncle is my uncle, direct uncle, he's in business, right? And I find myself in political space, should not be a barrier stopping my uncle from partaking in any government businesses.
In
government businesses.
Yes.
If he has the competence and the skills and the resources to run state business, he should be looked at on the merits as a business person. But the moment you try to draw in the lines that because he is related to FAD, and FAD is a politically exposed person, let's deny him to an extent. We've denied him a business opportunity because of what? Relations with me. So we should be very careful how we define and draw the lines. I heard former President Mahama during the manifesto launch calling his boys, right, Sharif and other, that they cannot be, they will not be allowed to buy any state asset in future. Fine. But you have a brother, Ibrahim Mahama, who is a business person. How then do you tell me that after 7th December 2016, when John Mahama had lost elections, yet he gave out our bauxite to his brother to mine? Do you get the point? So we should be very careful with the lines. We should be very careful with the line we draw.
To the company.
To the company. You see how funny it is. When Brian Champon, Rock City Hotel, we were able to box the two together and call him Brian Champon Hotel, right? But when it comes to others, just like Manasseh did recently, and he has been instructed by the lawyers of Ibrahim Mahama to render an apology. When it comes to Ibrahim Mahama, it is a business versus an individual. But when it comes to Brian Champon and Rock City, it is what? Rock City Brian Champon Hotel. That's hypocrisy. That's the highest form of hypocrisy. Let's draw the line. Corruption has denied us potable drinking water. Corruption has denied us access to good roads. Corruption has denied us access to good health care. Nobody's running away from that fact. Because of corruption, somebody this morning cannot get access to education because there's no school in his neighborhood. That's corruption. We are not running away from it. But if we want to fight it, let's do away with the populism. Let's do away with the sentiment that this morning my brother here tried to create. Martin Amidu, I find it very interesting that he makes references to Martin Amidu, forgetting that uncle. This same Martin Amidu came to tell the whole country. This same Martin Amidu this morning my brother wanted to project on this platform. That's the hypocrisy. Martin Amidu came to tell us that the sitting president...
I'm not actually...
No, I'm
not cutting your point, which you are making a very good one there. I'll come back to you shortly, but I'm sure the viewers are watching us who are participating in the conversation. So let me take the opportunity to introduce the viewers through their messages on the show. This morning we received some messages from Rollins Boy. He says, "Good joy, Prime, the mismanagement of this government is too much and the hardship is too much for us. Greetings to my sister, Senator Rollins from Rollins Boy." Well, okay, let me take some from VH Consort Sumaila from Shishi Akontumbra. Says, "Good morning to you and your guests. Concerning the Galamsey issue, there has been a Galamsey takeover of all swampy forests, cocoa and farmlands in Shishi Akontumbra in the western north region, which wasn't part of a Galamsey communities in the region some months ago. These issues started recently. The youth prevented them by arresting and seizing items and handed over to the police, but to no avail. It seems the security forces are not interested in helping the locals to fight this canker. Note, the Galamseyers come with heavy security forces who can only be confronted by the security. But what we see is the police arrest them, take their share, allow them to the forest again. We call on all relevant stakeholders to move to Shishi Akontumbra district in the western north region to help the locals fight this canker." Thank you, BH Sumaila, for sending us your message there. So we'll follow up on that. Good morning, Mr. Host. Because of this attitude of the police, which makes the coward MPP communicators like Benjamin, who sat on your show 3 days ago, saying they will crush people during election as if all security services are for the MPP. They should stop dreaming. Mawat from Obuase. We are advised that you send your messages, use clean words, and we apologize for, basically I apologize for reading that to my viewers. Good morning, Joy Prime, and good morning to viewers. Why is the image of Ghana, why has the image of Ghana reduced so low that there wouldn't be anything without politics? Do we really have people in Ghana who can fight for the nation without being politically aligned? This so-called oral demonstration with high-ranking members of parliament from the opposition is nothing truthful but to gain political eyes. But I tell you that it is a failed plan from the onset. Ghana is growing and will continue to grow. God bless our homeland Ghana. Sule from the northeast region. Let me take some more. We have, okay, Mr. Host. This is the last one. Mr. Host, how can Boss Wanasari and his cohort at the EC tell us that the register is robust and credible, but admitted the same register contains the same anomalies? Bosman Asari should not think he's the only educated person so can take us for granted. I am not surprised the MPP has not seen anything wrong with the register because the MPP is the beneficiary of the flawed register. I am not an NDC member or sympathizer, but I want a change in 2024 general elections to curb the looting. Good morning and heartfelt greetings to lawyer Kwame Jantuah, Charles Echampon. This is from Charles Echampon there. All right,
Good morning.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Host. The panelists should stop arguing. We shall look into our pocket before we vote. John from Achimtafo says, good morning. Okay, they will take some final one. This is from Aziz Bayo from the West, from WAP. He says, the NDC and John Mahama and their sympathizers can decide to demonstrate to their 24-hour economy, but I can assure them that the good people would not fall foul to their empty 24-hour economic slogan. You can never use a good advertisement to support a bad product, which is John Mahama. Ghanaians are not having a short memories as they think. The dead goat syndrome is still fresh in our minds. Non-magician in job creation, doomsaw, 3 months policy, 3 months pay policy, etc. This is from Aziz Bayo, sending his messages there. So keep sending your messages to us here on the show, and we'll make sure before the end of the program it's read live here on the program. But let me take some brief take before we move to the issue of Galamsey, which has become very prevalent in a place such as the Tano region, in the western region, that is Asankrogwa and Owen municipalities in the western region. There is a serious case that's part of the Tano and Ria forest has been disseminated by illegal miners, which has destroyed about 10 football fields with a lot of biodiversity in that area. So we'll get to that shortly. But before we do that, let me get Osman, who was making a point on corruption. I will just land there.
I'm basing it on what he said. You see, that's the hypocrisy, double standard. When it suits them, they quickly jump to the media space and make noise about it. Martin Amidu, you see, in this Fourth Republic, talking about corruption, Martin Amidu was the then Attorney General of the Atamos administration, right? He told the whole country that the Vice President, John Dramani Mahama, was being investigated for corruption-related activities. You see, I am not trying to call names here, but what I'm trying to tell him this morning is that corruption has denied this nation a lot. So if we are fighting it, we should put away the MPP NDC spectacles and deal with the issues. Let's look at the state institutions being put in place, how we can strengthen them. Tomorrow, if you are in power and somebody finds himself in such activity, I don't need to organize my people and jump on the street. But state institutions, because I know we have robust state institutions. Like today, the OSP has investigated former President John Mahama, and you find it interesting to sit here and make references to it, but you deny other report from that same state institution. That's hypocrisy. So please.
So it is. Will you describe this case as hypocrisy? I'm just saying, should the MDC come to power and decide to prosecute the current president?
On what basis?
I'm just asking.
On what basis are they going to investigate him and prosecute him? There's nothing wrong. See, I have said this, and I'm coming from a very typical village, and I've seen how life is down there. And I've seen how we've been denied access to some social amenities. So when we get the opportunity to sit here, we are very passionate. When we make our calls, we know how corruption has denied us access to drinking waters, access to education.
That is well said.
So it is important that we look out for state institutions. You see, as I remember very well, Barack Obama some time ago in this country said we should strengthen our institutions. We don't need strong men, but we need strong institutions. And President Akufo-Addo has led the way. He has charted the path.
All right.
I only expect them.
You've made very serious.
I only expect them.
Let me bring in.
All right. Thank you very much.
Conclude on this issue before we move to Galamsey. Meto, briefly, please.
Yeah, Winston. I'd like to first of all correct something that he said on this issue. I did not deny the reports from Cecilia Dapa. I made reference to what the special prosecutor said when he was addressing the issue on Cecilia Dapa, and I also made reference to what Martin Amidu said, and the special prosecutor also said when it comes to the Airbus scandal investigation. These are not my words. The special prosecutor, Kisia Jabeng, said that John Dramani Mahama has been cleared from any form of corruption directly or indirectly, whether direct evidence or circumstantial evidence. And I stated, no, these are not my words. The same special prosecutor on the CC at the park case told us that he has turned into a lone ranger. In Tree Ankwanoma, he's working alone. His hands are tied, and they are frustrating him in the fight against corruption. Having said that, it's important that looking at our society, the fight against corruption should be something that we should be ruthless and very aggressive to fight. Winston, if we are not careful, people will stop working hard. Because today, you've woken up early in the morning as a journalist, you are doing your research, you are doing investigation, you've come to work, you're working hard to get paid at the end of the month. Somebody who is next door to you is not going to work, and then the next minute you come back home, he's driving a Range Rover, the next time he has a Land Cruiser, he's built a house or bought a house from Chosako. You ask yourself, what exactly are you doing? If we are not careful, we are not ruthless and aggressive in the fight against corruption, we will end up building a society where people will engage in such practices. And it's even more alarming when you go to the churches. And I think this was already said for so long time by Paul, when he said that a rich man comes to church, and then we do not ask them where their source of riches come from, and then we acknowledge them, and then make them sit at the front seat, and the poor man who enters the church in tattered clothes, and then we discriminate against the person. But is that same rich man who was oppressing us? Is that same rich man who was stealing our lands? Is that same rich man who was stealing our money? Yet he comes to the church and then we acknowledge them. And it's happening today in church. So I'm saying that we as a country, we as politicians, young and old, that are in the system, we need to come together and must be ruthless in the fight against corruption. So John Dramani Mahama says that when he comes to power in 2025, which is coming, he's going to launch Operation Recover All Loots. And a section of Ghanaian youths are demonstrating against the stolen monies under PDS, under the 34.9 million bus ambulance repairs, under the bust contaminated fuel and all that, and they are gathered, and they are demonstrated, It's within their right. Article 21(1)(d) of the 1992 Constitution guarantees all of us, and the Public Orders Act 1994 came to entrench it and told us the procedures to follow. And the youth were demonstrating yesterday from all purposes, listening to them, went through all the legal processes. So I don't even see the reason why the police have to clash with them. And ending on this matter, I want to sound this caution and tell Ghanaians, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is the former Vice President of Ghana. He's the former President of Ghana. This man subjected himself to a state institution for him to be investigated on a perceived corrupt scandal. I'm telling you that in 2025, Winston, in 2025, let no son of a man, let no council who has peace at the beginning of their name, or anybody, any CSO in disguise, call the investigation into corrupt practices that has happened under Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo government and Bawumia administration witch hunting. John Dramani Mahama has led the way. And nobody, the way they are silent today, and their inks are finished, they should all stay silent. Okay, in 2025, your point is investigate and deal with the corrupt scandals that's happening under this.
I hope we are moving to another very important topic. Viewers are watching us, they're sending their messages via the WhatsApp line. Still here on the news flash here on Prime Morning. Let me move to a very important topic. We've been discussing Galamsey all throughout our channel this week because it's a very disturbing phenomenon on all of us. It's affecting us directly. The Ghana Water Service has released a statement in regards to how much they have to spend now to process our water, to distill our water, to bring clean water to us, because there's been perception and also research has proven that a lot of chemicals and metals can be found in most of our water we take. We shouldn't be surprised that the next bottled water you'll be buying outside certainly will have elements of that, and it's really will get to our doorstep very soon if nothing is done. Just recently, there's been a case of galamsey operations at the Tano Enyia Forest Reserve, which was disseminated by illegal galamseyers or miners. The Asankragua and Owin municipalities in the western region, that is where the galamsey operation is happening, are destroyed as large as 10 football field. You can see the Accra Sports Stadium, 10 football field, the size of 10 football fields. They destroyed a lot of biodiversity in that area, and that is a very disturbing phenomenon. And what we picked up was that it involved Chinese nationals and also influential characters and collaborators in government or in institutions, either in party or out of the party, businessmen all involved in that case. And so far, no arrest has been made by the Forestry Commission, who initially, information we had also was that the Forest Commission have stopped the operation. Nonetheless, no arrest has been done. Why? Because in 2023, a similar thing happened, which was reported by Joy News, where still the same establishment, it was stopped in 2023, but it was later continued a few months later. And it's surprisingly, the forest reserve was gazetted in 1955. So it's an ancient, it's our old facility. So pictures you're seeing there is the forest reserve and many mining operations happening there. So don't be surprised that whatever is happening now will affect us now, not even tomorrow. It's even affecting us now. You can see what is happening to Pra Tunnel and all the water bodies around and the biodiversity there. Yesterday I saw one pit where mudfish couldn't have access to clean water. They were just moving through the spots or damaged water body. Then it is very disturbing. Now let me get Lawyer Jantuah on this issue. Lawyer Jantuah, the case of Galamsey. I'll not even ask any question, but I just want to hear what you have to say. Yeah.
It's President Nana Addo. Does he see himself as the commander-in-chief? If he feels he does not have the capacity and capability to be the commander-in-chief, he should resign as president. Because I do not understand why he's waited for Galamsey to get to this stage. Have we heard anything with regards to what the water people told us? They said, if you're not careful, in the next 8 years, they won't be able to treat water in this country. Is that not an attack on us, the people? Do we not have a commander-in-chief who should be taking action? Or he sees himself in the next 4 months as a lame duck president, so he's not taking any action? But let me ask, Vice President Bawumia, he's on his campaign trail, isn't he? Has he said anything about what is happening today? Mm-hmm. Or he sees himself still as a driver's mate, so he can't do anything about it? We should force the president to act. We should force him to act.
How do we do that?
Aha, you asked me the question. We have heads of security services in this country, don't we? Mm-hmm. We have the army, we have the police, we have immigration, we have, what's the fourth one? Customs. We have the chiefs, we have the priests. If the mountain won't go to Muhammad, Muhammad will go to the mountain. They should go straight to Flagstaff House and confront the president.
In case where they are actually appointed by the president.
It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. This is the beginning of the death of our country, Ghana. It's the beginning of the death. What did they say? Water is life. Isn't it? And if Galamsey, a few people are destroying the life of this country, we are sitting down and we are watching, is all you're telling me? There should have been, and I said probably last year, that for me, there should be a policy of shoot to kill. Anybody who does Galamsey, there should be a policy of shoot to kill, because they have people standing guard, shoot to kill us.
Doc, that's criminal.
What is criminal? Let me take you to the UN Convention.
We are in Ghana.
Let me take you to the UN. Are they not killing us? Mm-hmm. What they are doing, is it not killing us? Is it not an act of war in Ghana? Is this not an act of war? Let me read for you. UN. UN Convention Treaties. It says, Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses, 1997, regulates the use and protection of international watercourses. UN Watercourse Convention, 1977, prohibits actions that cause significant harm to watercourses. Let me read you even the most interesting one. Rome Statute, 1998, considers attacks on civilian objects, including water infrastructure, as war crimes. Mm-hmm. Is it not a war? Mm-hmm. Why are we sitting and watching? Is it because politicians are in Galamsey?
We have state institutions who are supposed to.
Please, I'm talking about the president. This is not a question of state institutions. If the state institutions aren't working, the president should take over. He should call the heads of all these security departments and go out there. It's a war. You have foreigners in there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The UN tells you attack on water is a war. The war crimes. Why are we sitting and not doing anything about it? And look at how it's going. It's going to affect everything. Can you imagine? In the next 8 years, we don't get water. Do you know what that means? Mm-hmm. Do you know how it's going to impact little things like flushing your toilet? Mm-hmm. Little things like having good water to cook your food. Will it not kill all of us if the waters are contaminated? And the president sits and says nothing about it. We should force him to work. Force him to act. Because this is unacceptable. How many football fields did you say was destroyed? 10 football fields in our forest reserve areas. Mm-hmm. Come on.
So, Doc,
come on.
Yeah, when they sit with the president, what are some of the suggestions you believe they can lay before him?
Tell him to act. Where the country is going, we are heading for doom. Tell him to act. They should give him proposals of how to act. This emergency thing that some of the, institutions are asking for, the civil society are asking for, he should take it up. Has he said anything about it? Has Vice President Bawumia said anything about it? Mm-hmm. He's not in opposition. He's still in power.
He's not
still in power. Please forget it. Life and death is their control. What is he telling his boss? He's traveling around the country. What is he telling his boss? Look at it on TV now. Look. So he's not seen it. He doesn't think it's important. There should be a policy of shoot to kill. And then we need to go for those who are doing what? You're trying to tell me that they don't know people who are financing Galamsey. Is that what you're trying to tell me? The security services don't know the people who are doing Galamsey, be it politicians, be it MPP, be it NDC, be it CPP, expose them. They cannot kill us. This is killing us. The chemicals in the soil that they are using, do you know how long it's going to take to eradicate those chemicals from our water bodies? Let's say we are even able to stop it now. Do you know how long it's going to take to get the waters back to where it was before?
Okay.
Don't let us joke about this. And we are joking about it. And the president, as much as he's tried to do things, he has not been able to succeed. He should not leave this seat of his for us to say to him that he failed where Galamsey is concerned. Because this is killing our country slowly.
Before I bring Fadi into the conversation, let me first of all start with on this particular Galamsey issue. What is your take? And have we done enough as an institution, as a government, as a nation? Because we are all in any way playing a role. The media is to bring awareness of what is happening. We are doing our role. Would you say much has been done? And if not, what is the way forward?
Yeah, Winston, I'd like to start by giving a brief background, and then I'll end by talking about what's...
We don't have much time.
Yeah, so that's how I'm just going to do within the short time. You know, the issue of Galamsey is a national issue, and it threatens our very existence. You know, before we became politicians, we are Ghanaians first before we do politics. We need to survive first before we do politics. And what are the things that we need to survive? One of the things that we need to survive is the greens. That's the forest area, trees and all that. And then we need water to also survive. Now, when you look at the issue of Galamsey, in 2017, the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, put his presidency on the line that if he's not able to fight Galamsey, he would resign as president. And I'm glad one of the award-winning journalists from this media outfit, Erasmus Asare-Donko, in his exposés. Erasmus Asare-Donko, in his exposés, did some comparisons of some of these water bodies and then the forest areas and then how they are polluted. So this editorial that on the 20th of February 2016, Joy News showed by Erasmus Asare-Donko on the states of rivers like the River Bonsa, River Pra, Tano River, River Ofing, River Bia, and all that. You could see their state where the water body was clear. And then you could see their state now in 2018, 2019, 2024, where the water bodies are seriously polluted. Recently, Erasmus Asaidonko also gave another expose of the minings going on in the forest areas. And wisdom, it's very alarming. You know why it's alarming? The Ghana Medical Association released a report. And the reports they released, these people that are doing these galamseys, these are engaged in this mining, they are using certain chemicals, mercury, lead, and all that. That is very harmful to our health. Ghana Medical Association, and there's a midwife in the central region who has come out with a report that now even babies, innocent babies, in the womb of their mothers that have not even yet come out to life, okay, are being deformed, even right in their mother's wombs. They are giving birth to babies in those regions that do not have eyes, that do not have nose, they do not have mouth. Some of them do not have limbs and all that. And we sit as a country and we are unconcerned about these galamsey issues. And we think it's only peculiar to the people in the central and the western part of Ghana. Innocent babies that are not even engaged in galamsey. And there's a report also from your outfit in Erasmus Saidonko, in Odumasi, where the whole town is actually hanging. The people are mining under the towns. And recently, they said a 26-year-old pregnant woman who went to ease herself, and where she went to ease herself collapsed because actually the miners or the galamseyers had mined under her house, which she was not even aware. They start from somewhere and dig and then even come there. So this is an alarming situation. We are sitting in Accra, and we think that it's not going to affect us. The food that we eat, do we know the water that they use to plant them?
Okay.
And then to even say that our cocoa sector, that is even threatened with galamsey. According to the cocoa sector, over 19,000 hectares of cocoa farms have been destroyed because of galamsey. As at the end of 2016, Ghana was producing about 969 metric tons of cocoa annually. Today, we are struggling to even produce 400 tons of cocoa as a nation. Ghana, that our cocoa beans was one of the best on the market.
Sorry,
today, because of galamsey. Because of galamsey, okay, we are losing that. We are not even able to meet our production timelines. So when it comes to the issue of galamsey, I'm asking that, so all these things are happening with our water bodies. And recently, just this morning, I was reading that the Fourth Estate has given an expose that the Kumasi Mayor, Sampine, the chairman of the MPP in Kumasi, Wuntumi, and some top MPP members, go check online right now, Fourth Estate, are mining in our forest reserves. And Fourth Estate claims that the mayor of Kumasi, recently when they were doing the planting for trees and whatever, was a leading member of those planting for trees. And his company, Sam and Jan Company Limited, has gone for licenses to mine in forest areas and in river bodies over there. What are we doing to ourselves as a nation? So if you ask me that, do we know the people engaged in galamsey? Yes, we know them. What is the presidency doing? Just like lawyer Kwame Jantuah said, what's the presidency doing about it? It's not the case that we do not know them. Several instances, Minister of Environment, the Interministerial Committee led by Frimpong Boateng, Dr. Frimpong Boateng, Professor Frimpong Boateng, has come out and told us, Ekowusi and Co., 500 missing excavators, that they sold them and all that. We know the people engaged in it. Why did the minister say they were going to sack MMDCs and all that? We know the people. Fourth Estate has also given us additional ones.
All right.
What are we doing as a nation? What is John Dramani Mahama saying that he's going to do when it comes to the issue of galamsey? I'm just going to go through briefly because of want of time.
Okay.
One, we're going to promote a responsible mining for sustainable development. Most of the minings that are going on are not responsible. Two, we are going to wage ruthless war against illegal mining and roll out aggressive programs to reclaim our polluted water bodies, degraded lands, and devastated forest reserves. We are going to reclaim them, all our forest reserves. We are going to embark on a blue water campaign and also a tree for life. See, when the last tree dies, the last man dies. There are several of them. We are going to do. But this is a national issue. We should not even play politics with this one.
All right, thank you
because of time.
Because of time, thank you very much. I sent a video to your producers, just for I think 30 seconds or 40 seconds. I wish they would play it for us. To end in when I'm ending my submission on this galamsey fight. You see, when we took over in 2017, we came to admit that galamsey was one of the challenges we've been confronted with. No, this country being confronted with, and the fight of it. And truly, indeed, we started, President Akufo-Addo started the fight against Galamsey together with the media. You guys did very well. And along the way, if you remember very well, there was an entire halt on mining activities in this country between 2017 all the way to 2019 before we started the community mining program through to 2020. And President saying, I'll put my presidency on the line. He really suffered for it. If Ghanaians will bear with us this morning, why did he suffer for it? The NDC as a political organization, during that same space, when we were trying to fight it, were in the Galamsey pits, promoting Galamsey, encouraging people to do it, and promising them that if we win 2020 elections, we are going to allow you to engage in these activities again. That was what they were doing in 2020. And I've given the video to your producers.
Before you continue, let's play the video before.
Quick one.
So that you can make your point briefly. The video is on your screens right now. Viewers, just listen.
On the 11th, on the 7th, and she say, at the mom, because on one of us, I got now. Said the Bay, you know, Bray or my Jumata Craig. Most would not have Philippi. Now, so that's how I was 1 month out of Kakoheim. Now, so the Abba Yaguma. Now, so do Chromo call for Friday. Eddie, and 2 Quaco to Abana, and John Daman Mahama, a 2 direct.
So this is a video. Now I want to know where was that video?
What did he say?
Of NDC in 2020.
And does that make it right?
You see, that's what I'm saying. Oh, please, please. You're not the host. Why are you uncomfortable? Please. Thank you very much. When government,
what did he say?
This is what he was saying.
Yes.
When government was fighting Galamsey in 2020, the NDC as a political organization went to these Galamsey areas, promised them that government is chasing you away from your pits, right? It's preventing you from engaging in this activity, which is illegal. When we come, we are going to allow you. And he went along with an individual.
So you say when
he
you
claims, as a political organization, NDC, he went along with an individual with a tag on him that he'll be the one in charge of the Minerals Commission. So when he comes, or when the NDC comes to power in 2021, they are going to allow them to go back and mine in that same conditions. That was the danger that the President Akufo-Addo's government faced.
So when you
in
came
2020.
to power,
what
did you do there?
That's 2020.
Yes.
When we were fighting it in 2020, prior to 2020, we started the fight against Galamsey, and there were some successes being achieved prior to 2020.
Such as?
Number one, we do admit that when we started with the Operation Vanguard, we had some successes where we had a joint team of military and police and other security agencies going down there, chasing people from the forest reserves, from our water bodies, preventing them from mining in our water bodies. Unfortunately, if you look very well, if you take 2020 elections, we lost close to 7 seats in mining areas because of government efforts in stopping these activities. And as a result of that, government introduced the community mining program, where individuals will come together, form groups, go for license, then engage in responsible mining. Unfortunately, 2020 passed. A whole lot of issues started again. Now we've been faced with another challenge again. How do we fight Galamsey?
So it appears the responsible and irresponsible mining, none of them seems to benefit us as a nation.
There have been a lot of concerns. I believe we cannot also say that because we've not benefited entirely, we should stop mining. It's a whole economic activity on its own. But we need to understand.
What we are seeing on
we need to understand.
A country such as Kenya and most African countries have decided that due to the impact of our mining operation, there is a need to ban
entirely mining. Yes. Very true. I believe
are we there?
We've not gotten to a point of self-sufficiency to say that we don't need gold in this country. We have not gotten there yet. We need to understand.
Okay. In just 1 minute.
In just a minute. We need to understand that there will be a fight against it. Politicians and individuals involved in Galamsey, whether my uncle said MPP, NDC, I will not run away from it. I will never run away from that. There are people in my party who are involved. There are people in your party who are involved. There are chiefs who are involved. Let's deal with the situation at hand. Let's fight it in such a way that people will not take political advantage of it. We're heading towards elections. See, let's put in place any robust measures today to deal with this same situation. You have former President Mahama
telling
people
time
that if I win power, quickly, if I win power, I'm going to give amnesty to people who are in prison because of what illegal activities like mining.
Unfortunately,
so it is unfair.
Yes.
It is unfair. When government is fighting a situation at hand, you have an opposition.
Right.
The NDC
I'm sorry,
also
but
promoting it
unfortunately,
through political means.
To go
Thank you very much.
Conversation. I would like to thank lawyer Kwame Jantuah for
ban small-scale mining.
Senior member of the
10
CPP
years.
and also EA Metal Nuno, the NDC communication team member, as well as Fad Usman, who is the MPP communication team member. Before we go, I'd like to read a statement from Makafui Awuku. He's a poet and says, gentlemen, he says, the wages of Galamsey is sin. Our lands are being given away anyway. The perpetrators are having their way. Our fears will be allayed, but our water bodies contaminated with clay. This is what I want us to take. And the fight is personal. You and I should be involved. My name is Winston Taki. This is News Flash. We'll be back with more exciting conversation here on the Prime Morning. So stay glued to your screens. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this break.
Newsflash was brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. Still, fun papa fee.
good morning, good morning. This is Prime Morning, and it's time for news. I was about to say news flash. It's time for What's Trending with me, Asiedua Akumia. You can also call me the Golden Girl. Before we get into our trending stories for this morning, we are giving away monies again this morning, okay? So dial *281#, *281#. Choose number 7, which is Joy Prime. A ticket is 5 Ghana cedis, and so as much as you can afford, do that. So if you want to do 2, that would be 10 Ghana cedis. If you want to do 4, that would be 20 Ghana cedis. So whichever amount that you can afford, a ticket is 5 Ghana cedis. Again, you could stand a chance of winning a cool 1,000 Ghana cedis right here on Prime Morning, okay? So do that right about now. Pick up your phones and dial *281#. It is all about quick cash. It's raining money, 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 money on Prime Morning right here on Joy Prime. Okay. So yes, let's get into our trending stories for this morning. Now this one is a very exciting one, and I am super optimistic about my very first story because it is towards a good deed. Why am I saying this? So you know that KMJ is in Cape Coast because of the Fetua Fashe. And so this entire week, he's been giving us updates on the happenings at the Ogwa Festival. Okay, so not only is he there to report on what is going on in relation to the festival. Now, not just him, and Sister Sandy of Adom TV chanced on a little boy called Kojo. Now, Kojo, he looks like a young boy with a very bright future. Why do I say this? Even the way he speaks English, you can tell